Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome to Shane's World, the show where we break down the top 5 news stories in the world of pop and geek culture throughout the past week. Today we got some big news, we got some Marvel news, some DC news, some Star Wars news, and some more news on top of that, so stay tuned right after this. The first news piece we're going to touch on this week is that there is a live action Pac-Man movie coming. It is in development. I'm not sure who's working on it, what director they're going to get attached, what the cast is going to possibly look like for a live action Pac-Man movie. The only real taste of live action Pac-Man we've gotten is from that Pixels movie with Adam Sandler in 2015, and that movie had such high potential, but for some people it worked, but for me it personally did not. That's the closest thing we've gotten to a live action Pac-Man, if that's anything to say. This could not be very good. I don't have high expectations for this. If you're gonna make a Pac-Man movie, why make it live action? Just make it animated. We've had animated Pac-Man projects before. I don't really see the point of making Pac-Man anything outside of the game, but I guess everything needs some IP behind it nowadays, and that is why we're going to get a live-action Pac-Man movie. I just can't see it being very good. Something I did think was going to be very good, though, was Strange Adventures over at HBO Max. It was one of the DC shows that Greg Berlanti was making over there, part of his new deal with HBO Max, kind of moving away from the CW and making more higher budget, shows for HBO Max, and Strange Adventures was one of those. It was going to be an anthology show focusing on the lesser known DC characters like an Ambush Bug, a Ragman, characters like that, just characters that you probably aren't going to see in the film universe or TV universe anytime soon, but that show has now been scrapped. Strange Adventures is not moving forward, and that is coming straight from the man himself, Kevin Smith, who wrote and was going to direct one of the episodes. His episode was going to be about Jimmy Olsen and Bizarro. This is coming right from Hollywood Babylon, that he confirmed that this show is canceled. It's got the Axe of Zaslav, as people are calling it, just another casualty under the new regime over at Warner Brothers, and that's kind of a bummer, because I think we could have been introduced to a lot of cool characters throughout this. We could have seen KG Beast, we could have seen cool stories with Ambush Bug, kind of like Marvel's or DC's version of Deadpool. I think this show had a lot of potential. It had apparently a $20 million in episode budget, which is not bad at all. So I think this is a lost opportunity, and why not keep this show going? It's not like you're going to have Ambush Bug or Ragman movies anytime soon, so why cancel the show? I don't know. I guess they just didn't want to spend the money on it, similar to the Batgirl situation. Now, speaking of the Batgirl situation, of course, it got the axe as well, but what didn't get the axe, oddly enough, is the Flash, at least yet. But I have to tell you, this movie feels like it's probably going to get the axe before it gets released sometime, some way. Everything that's going to be spun out of it's getting canceled. Batgirl is canned now, with Michael Keaton spinning out of the Flash into that. The Supergirl movie that was going to spin out of the Flash isn't happening anymore. Michael Keaton's Batman scenes are being replaced by Ben Affleck Batman scenes in Aquaman 2. So it kind of looks like they're kind of taking everything that's going to come out of the Flash and getting rid of it, more or less, or retooling it somehow, and that kind of makes me think that they aren't going to release this Flash movie. They're going to take the big loss on it, but with Ezra Miller constantly getting in trouble, it's as soon as you think he's done, it goes about 2-3 weeks with no Ezra Miller drama, boom, there he is back in the news. Of course, he was just charged with, felony with burglary. This guy is nuts, or they are nuts, I guess that is their pronouns, but just a crazy dude. Why would you waste all that potential? You were handed the Fantastic Beasts franchise and the Flash. You were Warner Brothers poster child, and you just threw it all down the drain. I have to assume the Fantastic Beasts franchise isn't moving forward, and now it does not look like the Flash is either. The only other option, I don't see them releasing this thing at all, unless they can somehow spend another $50 million and CGI deepfake someone else's face onto Ezra's body. That's the only way I see them releasing this. Other than that, I think this Flash movie is doomed. I think they're just going to can it and, down the line, recast and make a different Flash movie. I can see that happening, but I don't think we're going to see Ezra Miller as the Flash ever again. And personally, I'm okay with it. The only thing that sucks is that we're not going to it doesn't look like, at least, that we're ever going to see Michael Keaton as Batman again, when it looked like we were going to see so much Michael Keaton Batman, and there's just going down the drain, all because of Ezra Miller being a bag of dicks, and that's just really unfortunate. Someone who's not a bag of dicks, who's a really nice guy, is Oscar Isaac, and he was interviewed recently and said that he would like to return as Poe if the story was good enough, which is very much a change of tune from a few years ago when him, John Boyega and Daisy Ridley all kind of were sick of Star Wars because of the panhandling, the mistreatment they were given in the sequel trilogy. But now it seems like they're kind of coming around to it. Oscar Isaac is the one that I probably would have seen holding out the longest, but now that he is Moon Knight, he does have a working relationship with Disney again. Seems like he had a good time on that show. We're getting a season 2, so maybe that's kind of what's leading towards his reconciliation with Disney, with Lucasfilm. But he's the one with like the best career out of all of them. Like, John Boyega isn't doing much, Daisy Ridley's not doing much. Those two I could see coming back faster, but it looks like we could see Poe coming back even before then, and Poe actually has a big history outside of those movies, so it'd be cool if he showed up on like an episode of Mandalorian season 4 as part of the rebellion or something somewhere down the line, even if it's not in episode 10. If he just showed up in an episode of something, I'd be totally down for that, because Oscar Isaac's one of my favorite actors working today, and Poe Dameron's my favorite of the new trilogy characters, so I definitely would like to see more of him. Now, speaking of Disney and Marvel and Disney Plus projects, something that has had Marvel Twitter's panties in a bunch in the last few days is that we're rumored to be getting a more lighthearted Daredevil in the She-Hulk show, of course played by Charlie Cox. Of course, we saw that he has this yellow costume, which as a comic book fan I think is awesome that we're getting the yellow costume, which we never got in the Daredevil show. Do I care if he's more lighthearted? Not really. Like, his scene in Spider-Man No Way Home was kind of lighthearted, and in the comic books he's not always serious. There are multiple great runs where Daredevil has humor. Now, he's not like a slapstick stand-up comedy guy, but he does have humor, especially Mark Waid's legendary run of Daredevil. If you haven't read that, he does have the yellow suit during a part of that run, and he does crack some jokes. It's not like over-the-top humor, but he does have some jokes, and I think that's probably what we're going to see in this She-Hulk show, but I don't think that's how he's going to be throughout his whole time in the MCU. I think it depends on who he's around. If he's around She-Hulk or Spider-Man, he might be a little more lighthearted and quippy. If he's around Echo and Kingpin, he's probably not going to be cracking as many jokes. So I think people just need to relax, get the panties out of your butt, and just enjoy She-Hulk. It premieres this Thursday. We will have a recap right here on the channel after it drops, so make sure you tune in for that. But I think it's going to be fine. I think it's going to be awesome. We're going to get different versions of Daredevil, different takes on Daredevil as we lead into Daredevil Born Again 2024. Yes, it's still about a year and a half out, so we're going to get some different versions, some different iterations of Charlie Cox's Daredevil before then. But don't worry, I think that show is going to be true to the character. It's fine if he cracks a couple of jokes, as long as he's not like cracking jokes like Peter Quill the whole time. I'm fine with it. But those are my thoughts on this week's news stories. What did you guys think of all these stories? Are you excited for Pac-Man? Are you worried about Daredevil? Do you want to see Oscar Isaac back as Poe? Let me know what you think about all that and the other news stories down in the comments below. Make sure you like and share this video on all different social media platforms so we can keep growing towards 200 subscribers. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys right here next time.